Okay, so here's an update on the Hoverbot. I got about 6 minutes here. So I added a piece of coroplast plastic, which is a really stiff corrugated plastic plate on the back of the camera, and that stands up to here. Now, the flat screen on the ZI-6, when you remove the casing and stuff, is exposed. But if you put foam in between the screen and the board, you can sandwich it. And now that's mounted to the coroplast, so it's in solid back, very solid. And the lens on the front is magnetic, as well as this adhesive foam, basically with a circle cut out of the center. I put the foam disc over top so that it's squeezed down on the lens edge and stuck to it, and then adhesive held it to the camera. Here's the IR and the 520 camera, which is still on here. And I should be able to turn on those lights if I power up here. I have one motor that's starting slowly at start, but works normally after that. I think that I might have the setting set at a different start speed. And just hooking up my balance charger connector, which powers 12 volts out for our optional lights on the front. And here we go. And there you can see the IR on the bottom, which is really bright on the Kodak, or on the Nikon. I'm using a Nikon P100 right now. But it really does give off a lot of light. I'm sure it takes a lot of power. But the IR is basically set up around the 520 board camera at the bottom there. And the Kodak benefits from it at the top there. But it's mostly for the night vision 0.08 lux camera on the bottom. That IR fixture won't be running it Kodak. I'd be running the FPV through that bottom board camera. On this side, the cooling fin's holding up very well on the transmitter, and I've had to resolder the video connector a couple of times here on this board. But they're quite durable, that chipboard that comes for 20 bucks from Hong Kong. The rubber duck I'm using now had a clover leaf on it, but I'm not sure. I'll try that again. Cooling for the TX is on both sides. There's an actual aluminum cutout on the bottom, air scoop. So it cools both sides of this board, which is crucial. This is just off of a halogen spotlight. There you can read my warning here off of a real plane. And we'll shut off the lights with that warning. And I think that's quite industrial for the Hoverbot. Now on this side we have the battery monitor. We can always check. This is the 520 camera using servo leads for the video, audio, and ground. And then this is the Kodak's feed, so I can switch them. Now I do have a video switcher, a 2-channel switcher that I could install here and then attach to one of the servos so that I could switch to a downward camera, which is probably my next move, is to have a downward facing camera protected from impact. Now, originally I had boxes on the side for the batteries, but now I've just mounted them on the top, and this is a 1200 and a 1000 3.7, so I don't have to worry about signal strength. On this side we have a lot of extra wires, but this is actually the light for the top. We'll see if we can get that hooked up, because it's quite nice at night when you're flying. There we go. It's a bicolor LED, and it looks quite sci-fi when it's flying around at night. That's the fashion aspect of the Hoverbot, I guess. But like I said, I'm going to be, I do gasket cutting, so I'm going to be selling the adhesive foam in different thicknesses for, you know, do-it-yourself stuff, and mounting cameras, because they've really isolated a lot of the vibration from badly balanced props, from what I've heard these GWS are. So a way to get away from having to buy Gropner very expensive props would be to isolate your body from the quadcopter itself, and that's what I've done with the foam body. Now this looks like a really heavy rig, I would say, but it's 1,135 grams, 1,145 grams. So it's completely comparable with 3,000 or with the 2,600 mAh battery, which is in it now. So next step would be motors. I think I'm going to get better motors, and we'll basically see if it will get longer hover times, but 7-8 minutes of FPVing is quite enough for me right now, and I'll be glad if I can stay up that long. So that's our update on that, and hopefully we'll be out once the rain stops. And there's a ferrite insulator there on the power to the TX, which I found really cleaned up the signal. So, and these LEDs are $1.69 on eBay each. The IR was about $3.99, I think, and they're both 12-volt run. So it's cheap lighting to add to your quad if you don't want to have to buy a package thing that's already, you know, set up to just plug in. But other than that, the Hoverbot is running very, very well. And there's our battery in the center pad now, so that we absorb some of that extreme dropping impact, so that the legs and the mounts here don't bear all the impact strength. If you just put pads on the outside edges, you're going to have this center wanting to go to the ground. So I've added this extra styro rolled pad on the bottom. And quite durable. I took off the servo for the camera on the front there, so I have that free servo lead now ready to be hooked up to something. And there's the blue styrofoam in there that you can see.